Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
Vince McMahon's grandson. Let me tell you something, folks. It's Tuesday night. It's 10 p.m. Share the link on your Facebook, on your Twitter. Tell a friend. Tell a few thousands. A brand new Wrestling Insiders at your house is now. Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marty.
And this is the man of the hour, Leo Rush.
It was all over BostonWrestling.com and our social media. But Leo, brother, they got to check out some of this merch.
They got to.
Check it out, fans, right now, available on eBay. Support Wrestling Insiders and keep wrestling legends working on eBay. Get this Karrion Kross and Scarlett double autographed 11x14 poster from NXT TakeOver in your house, number 19 of only 30 made. Comes with authentication hologram on the poster itself. Also comes with a mystery autographed 8x10 photo and an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas on Wrestling Insiders at your house. Get it now. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view, watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marty along with Tony Atlas. Tony continues to try and navigate through that bag over there. Tony, what are you hustling over there?
Huh?
What are you hustling over there? You're
the
up.
future.
Your future.
The future. Our future, too.
What, 11x17 drawings we're going to be selling in a little bit? What's this now? Oh, in and out, baby. Just like you and the women back in the 60s and 70s.
This is going to be my new Facebook
in
page.
underground Atlanta.
So if you see this logo, that is Tony Atlas' logo.
The real Tony Atlas. In and out, just like the hamburger joint.
No, not in. Just in, out.
What is that thing in the middle?
It's a
then?
lightning bolt.
Oh, I thought it was an N.
No, it's a lightning bolt.
Oh, all right. Oh. And you spelt your name right.
I did.
Unlike the Ultimate Warrior issue we ran
out?
into.
Did I get that right?
Saba Simba issues we ran into in the past.
So this is going to be my new logo.
I like
so
it.
When you see this logo, you know that's the website.
We're going to see it on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere.
Facebook.
Now, what does in out mean?
In is all the upcoming, not just wrestlers, all the upcoming musicians, anybody in the entertainment business. Mm-hmm. Musicians, football players, baseball, basketball, you're into any type of entertainment, you're playing a band, that's the in, because you're coming into the business. The out is all of us that is going out of the business. Those that have been there and we're on our way out, like Marty Jannetty, Tony Atlas.
Oh, Marty Jannetty's going to be on.
Well, he can be.
Okay.
We can have our debate on that.
Now, you're going to try and do your own show without me?
You can be on that.
My heart is going to break.
No, we can.
How are you going to do it?
We do it on my Facebook page.
But I mean, how are you planning on doing it? With a cell phone? Or, I mean, you don't exactly have video equipment up on Millionaires Boulevard in Auburn, Maine.
I do now.
You really? We'll have to talk off the air about that.
I've been working, brother.
In Out is coming, and we're not talking about, again, what
on
he used...
Facebook.
On Facebook.
On Facebook only.
What Tony used to
That's
do...
going to be the Tony Atlas Facebook. presented by Boston Wrestling.
On Underground Atlanta. Well, Boston Wrestling is willing to help with In-Out.
That's right. And we're going to have virtual sales on Tony Atlas' Facebook page with Boston Wrestling.
It sounds like a great idea.
No.
Well, for those fans that have not heard the blessed...
Because they have to send the money to your PayPal. I don't have a PayPal.
Well, as usual, I come in handy for
you
something.
Help us old timers. Let me borrow that PayPal.
Let me do some more work.
It'll work.
So I can
So
deal.
Dan Morella and Tony Atlas going to be the hosts of In and Out Tony Atlas Facebook.
He hosts In and Out, and I get to go in and out with Uncle Sam over it. That'll be good. But anyway, wrestling fans, if you have not heard the blessed news, Tony, I think we should share it with the fans because I think it's a great lead into the topic of conversation on the show today. But this May, down in Texas, you are going to be inducted into not the WWE, but the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Tell us what's going on.
Well, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, unfortunately, is the most unpublicized, greatest event in the world of wrestling. They only introduce wrestlers, but whereas with the WWE, it's a WWE Hall of Fame. The Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame is wrestlers from all over the world, both new and old. To be in it, you have to be in the business for a length of time. Mm-hmm. You would never see someone like John Cena in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame or Shawn Michaels. They have not paid their dues to be considered a Hall of Famer. Most people that being inducted in the Hall of Fame, like if you read off the list there, is guys that been in the business 30 years or more. You know, these guys that have been around for a long time, you know, like McDowell Vachon and Ox Baker and guys that probably you never even heard of before, Gene Kiniski, Killer Kowalski. You know, these are true patriots of the business that had dedicated their whole life and career to pro wrestling and pro wrestling only. You're not going to get Liberace in this. You're not going to get Snoop Dogg in this. You're not going to get William Perry, the refrigerator, in this. With WWE Hall of Fame, you could wrestle one match and become a Hall of Famer in WWE. Like William Perry did. William Perry, when he did his speech in 2006, if y'all watch it, he said, I've never been known in one sport and get inducted in the Hall of Fame in another one. He said, I'm not even in this sport, but I'm in the Wrestling Hall of Fame, you see? Because he said, well, that's the Celebrity Hall of Fame. Well, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame is strictly for wrestler only. Just like a baseball player, if you a singer or a guitar player, you're never going to end up in the Football Hall of Fame. Right. You know, you're never going to end up in the Baseball Hall of Fame. You have to have played the game well and long to get inducted. So even though it don't get it don't have the highlights of the WWE or AEW, it's in the world of wrestling, it's the highest honor that any wrestler could get. The only people that wear that ring, now wait till you see that ring, brother. The only people that wear that ring are people that had dedicated their whole life to pro wrestling and nothing else. So it's quite an honor. I just hope that I live long enough for it to be done.
Well, you've got about 3 months. Let's hope you can knock on wood.
A lot can happen in 3 months. The saddest part of this introduction, this is when I got inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame, my wife Monica was there. When I got inducted in the World Bodybuilding Hall of Fame, my wife Monica was there. This is my highest honor that I received in my career, and my wife won't be there. That's the saddest part of the trip, that she won't be there to see it. So I got to figure out some type of way.
Well, I already have the solution, Tony. Like I said, I'm going to reach out to these folks about maybe us promoting the Hall of Fame on this show. Maybe we can go down and film your induction. And then on your new computer that you bought, once you can visit Monica, you can bring her and show her on the computer your
Let
induction
her see
speech.
it. Yeah, because
That would be a great way for her to see
This is
it.
the first time that she's not there
Yeah.
to, not there to see my daughter. Because I know by May she's not going to be able to travel all the way to Texas. She's not going to be.
She'd be lucky if she's home at that point.
Yeah, but this is a great honor. Like, for example, you take Tommy Wildfire Rich, the youngest NWA world champion in history. Probably never go to Vince's Hall of Fame. You have thousands and thousands of wrestlers that had dedicated their life to wrestling that probably never be in the WWE Hall of Fame. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know guys that he probably wasn't the best person in the world, but I never really had no real problem. You take like Vader.
Leon.
I used to travel with Leon after his career with the WWE and WCW was over. And that was one thing that every year he would look and he would tell me this: I wonder if they're going to put me in this year. And Ivan Koloff, Ivan came to me and said, "You think you could talk to them for me?" You know
Isn't that
and
something?
it's
The guy
sad,
that ended.
but it breaks your heart. These are guys that had wrestled for more than 40 years. And then they see some guy that come out in one show, one pay-per-view, and in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Nothing against Snoop Dogg. I love Snoop. Love Snoop to death. But put him in the Hall of Fame of wrestling?
Yeah.
For what?
Exactly.
And not Alvin Koloff, not Vader, not Tommy Rich. These guys, and I told the guy that did this last year when he called me. I said, if I die, don't put me in. What freaking good they're gonna do me? Where's your fans? Screwed up. They don't even know I'm gonna be in it. They're not gonna be able to see me. They're not gonna be able to take pictures with me. What good is it? They're gonna watch a freaking tape on me and listen to somebody talk about me and I ain't there. There's so many guys in the wrestling business that have been looked over and they die. Most wrestlers, people say, oh, they die of a drug overdose. No, they die of a broken heart. The business they put their whole life into. And then what did they get at the end? They sat home and they watched a football player or a singer or baseball player get in the Hall of Fame. After 40 to 50 years of struggle and hard work, and they don't put them in. I think you deserve more to be in the Wrestling Hall of Fame than 50% of who Vince put in there.
Oh.
You.
Me?
You have donated more to the business than the refrigerator. He did one day.
Thank you.
One day.
I've tried, I know that much.
He devoted one day of his time to wrestling and wear a Hall of Fame ring. One freaking day, brother. He even mentioned it himself. This is refrigerator talking, not me. Watch the tape. He couldn't believe it. He said, of all the wrestlers, me, him talking about, he said, all the wrestlers. You take guys like Johnny Ross. How come he's not in there? Is he in there?
He's in the WWE Hall of Fame.
What about S.D. Jones?
They put him in the
achievement thing, but not the Hall of
He's in
Fame.
it, but he didn't. They have a new program where they put
What about Bruiser Brody, who gave his life for this business?
He's in it now too, but he didn't get an official induction. What they do is the weekend of the Hall of Fame, they make a video package of, say, 6 to 8 people that have passed away, and they get. It's not. It is in the Hall of Fame.
It's not the Hall of Fame. It's something else.
It's
like,
a different kind of award that goes along with it. I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
Fans at home can probably look it up online. But he's technically in it. But I tell you this, from what I recall, when they did that with Brody, they didn't even let Mrs. Goodish know ahead of time. They just did it.
Yeah, because they don't want to pay her.
They put SD in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not it wasn't an official induction.
There's no ring. There's no.
I don't know if they get a ring.
No,
or
they don't
not.
get nothing.
Mrs. Jones
check,
didn't get
no
a ring.
nothing. Nothing.
They didn't even get the check.
No,
No
nothing.
payday.
Nothing.
Well,
Nothing.
Tony, I am looking forward to this. I God only knows at this point if the induction will take place
It will.
before fans. If it does, if you are in Texas in May, I'm telling you right now, I am going to be in Texas
The
in
Rock
May.
and Roll Express going to be in there.
I am going to take Monica's place at the end of it this year because I want to be there to see my friend inducted into the Hall of Fame, Tony. We have known each other since
And
19.
this one is not easy to get into either.
The credentials are different. The credentials are different.
You have to really, because you put in by your peers. That's the difference. Wrestlers
Voted in.
Wrestlers
Voted
vote
in.
you in. You have to get voted in by other wrestlers.
And for the fans that may not be totally familiar with what we're talking about, this is the Hall of Fame that for quite a while was in Amsterdam, New York.
Right.
And it has been relocated to...
Corporal Christian, no, not Corporal Christian, the event going to be...
It's in Texas. I can't think of the name of the city.
Shoot. I just said it. Wichita Falls.
Wichita Falls, Kansas.
Wichita Falls, Texas.
I have no idea where Wichita Falls, Kansas is.
It's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Wichita Falls.
But I look forward to going. If the induction happens and they allow people in, I am going to go and watch my friend Tony Atlas be inducted, and hopefully we can work out some kind of a deal with the Hall of Fame where we can promote their work, and maybe they can let us, like what we do with the Cauliflower Rally Club.
And this is what is real sad for me, too, about this induction.
All right.
Rocket Johnson always wanted to be in there.
Really?
There was a lot of things that Rocket said to me that I didn't pay attention to while he was living, but then I look back on it. He called me one day and said, "Hey, Ric Flair going in the Hall of Fame again." I said, "He's already in there." Oh, they're putting the 4 Horsemen in. So they bring the Flair back, put him in for the Hall of Fame again. Got 2 Hall of Fame rings for Flair. They bring in other tag teams. There's a lot of guys that have been in there twice. I got inducted twice in that. And Rocket said, how come they don't put us in as a tag team? First black world tag team champion. But don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
To be the first black tag team champion. There was other tag teams that went in that never were the first, that never did what me
I
and
tell
Rocket.
you want to talk about a team that you think is
So that's-
suspect
that's
about
what
being
pissed
in.
off a lot of the
Look at
older-
Harlem Heat.
Huh?
They put Harlem Heat in together. What did Stevie Ray ever do to be considered a pro wrestling Hall of Famer?
See?
Booker T, okay, I could see Booker T as a single, but I don't think Booker T should be a 2-time Hall of Famer, one man's opinion.
See, but that's what they do. And that's what, and with all the wrestlers in this world that got overlooked. They got overlooked at the end. You know, they got kicked to the curb at the end. And I can name thousands of wrestlers. Did you ever put Wahoo McDaniels in there? WWE?
I think, again, he's in that
He's
same
in
program.
the Pro Wrestling
yeah.
Hall of Fame, but not in Vince's.
I think he's in that new program they have that honors the dead.
Superstar Billy Graham, WWE?
Oh, yeah.
Superstar.
I was with Billy in 2004. for
Pedro
that one.
Morales?
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, if the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, if it's open to people to attend,
It's gonna
Tony,
be
I'm going to
great.
go with you.
Yep.
Maybe we can do some interviews
And
with
this
Tommy
Hall of
Rich.
Fame, what is different about this one than WWE? This is for wrestlers only. You can't show up for one pay-per-view and get a Hall of Fame ring.
Well, I can't wait to see who else is going to be inducted. I think it's going to be a great weekend down in Wichita Falls, Kansas.
Or you can read off the list. Let me get it for you.
The Cauliflower Rally Club, we don't know if that reunion is going to happen again in 2021. Last year, our reunion was first supposed to take place in April. Then it got postponed to my birthday week in September. I was excited about going to Las Vegas for that. That got canceled as well. Everyone is hoping that the CAC reunion is set for April of 2021, and it's not looking too good, at least as of the time of this taping. We're supposed to have news in January. If you are interested or a member of the Cauliflower Rally Club, check out cauliflowerrallyclub.org. The link is always rotating on the YouTube version of this program, so you can find out if we're even going to have a reunion this year, as Tony tries to use the Atlas iPhone 18 over there to try and figure out what's going on in Wichita Falls, which I am eager to attend and hopefully record and bring back some great footage for the fans. What?
Mountain. Well, you got the story with your finger right here to read it, okay?
What is it?
It's a 2020 Hall of Fame inductee.
It's 2021. Oh,
okay. Now,
all right, let me take a look at the list now.
Yeah, you know how to, you can read them. Read it out to the fans.
The Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame 2021 Hall of Fame inductees from the Pioneer era: Man Mountain Dean and Paul Bowser. Paul Bowser was the promoter for Boston. Did you know that? Okay. From the TV era, the Super Sock, Jose Lothario, the man that trained Shawn Michaels.
Right.
Along with Tiger Conway Sr. From the modern era, Tony Atlas and Tommy Rich. Women, Judy Martin, a woman.
Judy Martin, one of the best ever lived.
A woman that Tony would like to have walk on her, along with Juanita Kaufman. International, Leo Burke. Executives, Don Owens, who ran the Portland, Oregon territory.
That's right.
For the tag teams, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, the Rock and Roll Express. From the territory era, legendary manager Skandar Akbar, and for referees, Ronnie West.
Skandar Akbar.
The 2021 Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame inductees.
Tell me where it's at the bottom. The address is there.
No, it's not.
It's not on that one?
No.
Okay. No,
at least we had the list.
What I did, I looked it up on Google. I Googled
Oh, you Googled
I Googled
it, okay.
and it told me Wichita Falls on Google.
Well, I imagine we could go down. We could do some interviews with Tommy Rich, some interviews with the Rock and Roll Express. We could have some fun. Maybe we could have Judy Martin walk on you.
Well, no, I'll tell you what you could get.
What could we get?
Remember what I kept telling you? That every time we do this show, y'all talk about the nannies up.
The old stories. Well, funny enough.
These guys got stories, brother.
Stories galore.
Think about it.
All right.
Think about what they could, the story they could tell you how wrestling were in the 60s and 70s, you know?
Well,
people are very interested. That's why people are very interested in the history of something. And the history of wrestling have never been told.
Well, you know what? We're going to talk
You can do a DVD on the history of pro wrestling with each one of these guys, the history of it. The guys that was there before the Hulk Hogan, before the Shawn Michaels, when wrestling was just in arenas and back rooms, and where guys had to really, really wrestle and fight their way to the top. Not when they had some millionaire up in the top that decide who's going to win and who's going to lose. These are guys that earn. He's doing this to you. These are guys that work their way to the top. They traveled the highway 7 days a week. When wrestling was wrestling, when they did nothing but wrestle, 7 days a week they was wrestling, not wrestling on the weekend or wrestling. These guys, in the story, these guys can tell you the experience that they had. Like I talked to them, I know he told me we got to hurry up. I talked to Fit Finley. He was telling me a story when he was wrestling one night. The people hated him so much, believed he was a real heel, that he was in the dressing room getting dressed and bullets were flying through the window. Wow. That's how serious people took this sport, because these guys, and they live that. I know stories of guys when they go out to the parking lot, you have to fight your way to the car, because they had no security. I know guys that got cut going to the ring, all types of stuff, because there was no security. So back in them days, when you look at these old arenas, they were just little old arena cigar smokes in the air and everything else. And these guys, when you're a heel, most of the time you have to fight your way back to the dressing room. Jonathan, the strongest man that ever been in pro wrestling. He's the only man I know could get on one side of the ring. When him and Bill White were wrestling, and they had a riot, and all the people was running, would jump in the ring to jump on Bill White, and Jonathan said, "Come here, kid, and stand beside me." Now a lot of people was around. You ever talk to Bill White? He would tell this story. Now you know what a ring weighed. Wrestling ring.
Oh yeah.
He grabbed that wrestling ring and turned it over.
Wow.
That's how strong, and that's where I got my move from.
Wow.
But he was a big man, but they never concentrated on his strength. They concentrated on his athletic ability. He was like a 6'6", 300-pound guy that threw drop kicks.
Wow.
Guys like Crusher Blackwell and all these guys. These guys have gotten for pretty much forgot about. Haystack Calhoun. Nobody talks about these guys. You know, these were the guys that really pioneered the business. And they got forgotten about by Vince. They got forgotten about by the fans. You know, I got a book that I got to bring you so you can see. And the book was made in 1952. And it cost $1.
What was the
and
book?
And it showed all the, like Argentino Rocco.
Wrestlers.
Real wrestler. Like Argentino Rocco, he wrestled barefooted. You ever heard of him?
Oh, yeah. He was a huge draw for WWF before Bruno.
Before Bruno.
Before even, I think it was actually, if I remember right, it wasn't even WWF. I think it was Capital Wrestling at that point.
It was Capital Wrestling.
Yeah, at Madison Square Garden.
That's right.
See, I know my stuff. I'm not dumb.
How many of them know it?
Well, that I can't speak
to. We don't talk about it.
All right, wrestling fans, right now I want to take a brief time out. When we come back, you want to talk about history. We're really going to have some fun with this guy. I think he's going to love it. We'll have to wait and see.
Let's see.
We'll be back after this brief time out.
Don't have
folks.
sex with baboons.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Support Wrestling Insiders and keep wrestling legends working on eBay. Get this WWE NXT TakeOver War Games 2020 11x14 limited edition autograph poster signed by everyone on the event. Number 23 of only 100 made. Includes signatures from the Undisputed Era: Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, Tommaso Ciampa, Timothy Thatcher, Io Shirai, Tony Storm, Rhea Ripley, Dexter, Loomis, and more. Comes with authentication hologram on the back of the poster. Also comes with mystery autographed 8x10 and an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas on Wrestling Insiders at your house. Get it now. All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. So many great things happening here in the world of Boston wrestling. Again, we ask you, if you're having fun, if you're enjoying yourself, give us a thumbs up. It lets YouTube know that you're enjoying the shows, and it showcases our programs to more and more new fans that haven't experienced us yet. If you really like all the great content you're getting 7 days a week from us, hit the subscribe button. It's absolutely free. It alerts you to all the great things we have going on here in Boston wrestling. If you have some thoughts on the topics, if you're watching the premiere on Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock, chat away with us in the chat to my right, along with the comment section below. If you watch a replay, the super chat button is always open. If you want to tip the bartender for all of the hard work, entertainment, and fun we bring you, as Tony is having a Zen moment with the Kleenex, or either that or he looks like a member of Retribution.
No? What I'm doing, I'm trying to teach the wrestling fan how to do a cold.
How to do a what?
Like you got a cold, a runny nose.
Oh.
See, if you could take some glue and you glue the tissue right here. Now a lot of people are going to steal this idea. You glue this.
No one is going to steal this idea.
The best way to do it. Take a staple gun.
Yeah.
You staple the
New
tissue.
Jack, your buddy.
Right. You staple the tissue to your head. Now what? Somebody going to steal this idea. And then when you get a runny nose, the tissue is right here, and you can just wipe it, just like that. And the tissue is always there. And if you're not able to wipe, let us say you cook it and you're doing something, and your nose is running, you just right into the tissue. Easy.
Do you think that John Cena Sr., with the glue that he has to use on his tooth, do you think that a Kleenex has ever got stuck in his head and he didn't know it?
See, he could lift the toothpaste, put it on these, and you have it hanging right over your nose, and it's right here. See, hand it, Look, now tell me that's not a great idea.
It'd be good for a LAN party. I know that.
That's a great idea,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. All right, wrestling fans, back to the topic at hand. Tony, what I want to know is in 1974, a young Anthony White was taking judo classes at the Patrick Henry YMCA, and in
How
walked
you found out about that?
a man named Sandy Scott. Tell us what was going on in the world of Anthony White, and how did Sandy Scott change what was going on in
Where
the
you get
world
that
of
information
Anthony
from?
White? Don't worry about that. Let's talk wrestling, baby. The Patrick Henry YMCA. Anthony, how old is Anthony White when he's taking judo?
I can't remember that far, but I'm just shocked that you know that I done that. What happened was, when I was a kid, everybody wanted to get out the hood, and we were looking for ways to get out the hood. If you could sing, the guys used to be on the corner. They'd be on the corner singing at night. You know, no band, no, just harmonizing, they used to call it. You know, and a lot of them had good voices. Guys were trying to get on the basketball team so they could get a scholarship and go to college and go play pro basketball or pro football. Everybody was looking for a way up the ladder in the 70s, because the 70s was the beginning of desegregation. America was segregated up until 1968.
Yeah.
And in 68, they desegregated America. So the 70s was really the big boom for minorities to try to get into it. Well,
It was good to be black.
Right. Well, most minorities was not that well educated, because the school system was not the best system in the world in the 60s and 50s for most people. So we went for, people were looking for other ways of trying to make it. Well, I didn't know where I'm going to end up. I didn't. So by the time I was 19, and I'm not bragging, you can look it all up yourself, you probably already got it. I was the Virginia bodybuilding champion. I was the Virginia weightlifting champion. The Virginia powerlifting champion. The Virginia arm wrestling champion.
Wow.
By the time I was 19.
Well, our director,
I had
Jackie
all-
the Joke Man, actually came in third in Massachusetts for powerlifting.
Yep.
Did you know that?
No, I did not know that. But anyway, I was involved in all these different sports. I didn't know if I was going to make it as a bodybuilder. I didn't know if I was going to make it as a weightlifter. I didn't know if I would make it as an arm wrestler. So I went to the YMCA and I saw the guys doing judo. So I wrestled in high school during season. When high school season was over, I had to find out a way to stay back in shape. So I started taking up judo at the YMCA. But one day, I was taking up judo, and Sandy Scott came. No, the first time Sandy Scott came, he saw me weightlift. I was getting ready for a weightlifting contest, and I was going to deadlift 600. If I do 600, that would have been the state record for that time. It was, all contests back in them days was AAU, Amateur Athletic Union. There was no MPC, none of this stuff. You see that it wasn't even existing. It was an AAU for handle everything dealing with amateur sport. They were the big dogs then. You don't even hear about the AAU no more.
No.
No, but that was the big dog with the YMCA and all this stuff. The AAU
Zeri was involved
yeah,
in the AAU.
and the big thing for the AAU was the Olympics. I think the AAU still runs the Olympics. That was the big thing. Everybody,
Creme de la creme.
right, everybody was trying to make it to the Olympics. So so you have to win so many AAU titles to qualify for the U.S. Olympics. Well, anyway, make a long story short, that was the first time that he saw me. I was doing a 600-pound deadlift, and they said, Sandy Scott said, "You ever thought about being a wrestler?" I said, "No, not really." And then I walked away from him. Well, about a month later, he came back, and he had a wrestler with him by the name of Charlie Forter. And I was taking judo classes at the time. And they said, "Hey, let me see how good you are, kid." So they pulled Charlie Forter on a mat with me. So I beat Charlie Forter. And then one of the guys at the ride said, "Well, you know he's state wrestling champion, don't you?" And just Sandy Scott said, "I didn't know that." He said, "I thought it was just a weightlifter that was trying to learn how to do that." They said, "No, he's state champion in wrestling." And Charlie Forter said, "Now you freaking tell me." And then they brought me down to Charlotte. And normally, what they do when you beat one of the wrestlers in the older days, they would bring you to Charlotte and have some of the tough guys to hurt you. But George Scott liked him. He said, "Don't hurt him, train him."
So how did it go from Sandy Scott running into you at the Y, then coming back?
George Scott was his brother.
And he was the booker for Jim
He was
Crockett.
the booker for Jimmy Crockett from Midland. He was the booker.
So they saw you take down Charlie Fulton at the Y, and they said, let's see if we can get this kid involved in our business.
No, they wanted to kick my ass.
They wanted to kick your ass.
Take me down like you just said and hurt you. That's how they used to do it those days.
So when you went to
'Cause
Charlotte,
I was not one of them.
right?
So, but then when I went to Charlotte, George Scott took a liking to me.
Before the beating.
I never got it.
That's what I mean. So you must have made a good impression on George
George
Scott
Scott. He liked
before
him.
they physically harmed you.
Yeah.
Like the famed story when Hulk Hogan was training at first, he had his leg broken when he
Yeah.
was under the training of Hiro Matsuda.
Exactly.
So
and they had guys that could have done that to me at the time. Yeah.
the guys in the Mid-Atlantic Territory, at least George Scott,
He
felt
liked
there
him,
was
and he the
potential in
booker.
you.
And he was the booker. And he was the booker. So I remember that Ole Anderson told me, said, kid, the only reason we don't hurt you is because George Scott told us not to.
And they probably wanted to.
Because I beat up one of them.
Is it true, Tony, that after Sandy arranged for you to meet with George Scott and some of the wrestlers in Charlotte, you no-showed the first meeting?
Yeah, I had no way to get there. But he didn't know that. He didn't know. I was working as a I was working as a dishwasher at the Roanoke hot dog stand, and they stay there.
Really? The Roanoke hot dog stand is still
I go
there?
by there all the time when I go there. The old guy that gave me the job name was Gus. I used to do the pots and pans, which was the hardest job in the world. You ever try to clean up a pot, a greasy pot? You wash and you wash. The guy would come by, feel a little bit of grease, redo that. It is not easy to kill pots and pans. Trust me. I used to scrub, you scrub, and you scrub, and you scrub, and you scrub, rinse it. And it's hard to get grease off of a freaking pot, especially the pot they had back in them days, you know. And that was my job. I used to do the pots and pans for the Roanoke hot dog stand, and I used to get paid. I think I was making like $38 or $40 a week, like $40-some, because minimum wage back in them days was like $2 or something.
Oh, wow.
It was. Well, you're talking about the '70s,
Yeah.
brother. You know, minimum wage was on like I think it was $1.60.
Wow.
$1.60. So, you know, you have to put in a lot of hours. And after wrestling practice, I used to go and work at the hot dog stand. And so that's what I did. So they asked me to come to Charlotte to meet George Scott, to meet his brother. Mm-hmm. Well, I said, well, I try to get away. He said, don't try, be there. But he wasn't paying attention. He's thinking, like most people think, oh, he's a big kid, he got a car, he got transportation. I said, I don't have no car. I never drove a day in my life. He said, what do you do for a living? I said, I wash dishes. So then how they got me to Charlotte, they had me to come to the Starland Arena on the sucker meeting.
In Roanoke.
In Roanoke. And so my buddy Alfonso Johnson was a wrestling fan, and he took me to the Starland Arena. Now here's the funny part. I thought I was coming home. So I had my little gym bag. Then I just had a little school gym bag.
Yeah.
And with some sandwiches in it, and a change of underwears. That's all I had
That's all you brought.
when I left home. Sandwiches, some apples, some bananas. My mother made me a big jar of Kool-Aid. We couldn't afford sodas. In the hood, it was Kool-Aid, brother. You get one pack of Kool-Aid, you make a whole pitcher of Kool-Aid. My mother we couldn't afford them soda pops. We always drink that Kool-Aid. So I had a big mason jar of Kool-Aid. 'Cause my mom thought I'm coming back the next day.
Yeah.
So when I get to Charlotte, Klondike Bill,
Well, let's not go out of order now. So let's talk about Roanoke first. Did you go to Roanoke before or after the Charlotte experience?
No, Roanoke was first. I didn't go to Charlotte. I couldn't make it there.
So they told you to go to Roanoke.
Yeah, Sandy met me at the YMCA.
Right.
Then George Scott wanted me to come to Greensboro, which was 100 miles away. So some guy overheard the conversation. So he said, I would take you to Greensboro. So I went to Greensboro to meet George Scott. And he introduced me to the board, and they had a trick question. It was a trick question. I didn't know it then, I know it now. They said, what you think of pro wrestling? I said, I think they're great athletes, some of the toughest athletes in the world. All the guys look, the kid got respect. The kid got respect for us. He respect us. So George Scott walked back out the door, and I remember in Greensboro, North Carolina, he said, the boys like you. Talking about the other wrestlers, they like you. So then that young kid, I can't remember who the hell he was, took me back to Roanoke. He thought he was going to be my manager. So he told me, he said, if they call you back, tell them I'm your manager. Because he was a wrestling fan too.
He wanted in.
Yeah, he wanted in. So he saw he could get in through me. So then George Scott, I told him, I said, well, he's going to be my manager. George Scott said, well, don't tell him after he take you home, because if you tell him that, he probably won't take you home. He said, but you don't need a manager. We would take care of all that. And he said, I'd like you to come to Charlotte next week. So I said, well, I'm going to get there. He said, he said, Charlotte, he said, it's only a little bit. So he's thinking that, that I'm driving everything. So I didn't show up. So then when I come to the Y to work out, the guy that worked behind the counter, in the old YMCA, there was a guy that worked behind the counter, give you a towel, had the basket where you put your stuff in it, in the basket. And they would give you a towel and give you a key to go into the Y. So it's Sandy Scott on the phone, and he's raging hell with me. You piece of crap, you. I put my neck on the line for you. Everybody was waiting to see you. I talked about you. I bragged about you. And you had the freaking nerve to stand me up. I said, but sir, I don't know how I'm going to get there. He said, well, how you get anywhere? You drive. I don't drive. You don't drive? How old are you? I said, I'm 19. That don't freaking mean nothing. I don't care if you 29. You don't drive? I said, no, sir, I never drove a car. I said, I can't afford a car. I said, I only make $40 a week. Well, how in the hell you live? I said, I stay with a welfare mom. True. Loretta Miles. She's in my book, Loretta Miles. This is my book. I said, she heard of my mom. I said, I live with her because my mom can't afford to take care
was
of me.
Loretta that older woman?
Yeah, she was 38. She was 38 years old when I met her, and I was 16 when I met her.
So when you were 16-year-old, you started to pound this older woman.
Yeah,
38.
I tore that ass up, man.
You did.
That was good too.
Really? Was Loretta in good shape?
Nah.
No.
But I didn't care about that.
You were 16.
I was getting me a little poontang. That's all I care about.
How many children did Loretta have?
5.
Were they around your age?
No.
Oh, they were younger.
They were different ages and stuff like that. Loretta got pregnant when she was probably around 12 or 13 years old. Yeah. In the neighborhood.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood.
You were giving it to Loretta.
I seen an 11-year-old pregnant, 12 years old, 14 years old. In the neighborhood. Yeah, there were a lot of guys in their 40s with hump a 14-year-old all day long. There was no boundaries. There was no law.
What did you, well, your mother was such a strict woman. What did she think about you pounding this 38-year-old woman with several children?
The age didn't matter.
She didn't care.
It was one thing that bothered my mother.
What was that?
We wasn't married. Oh. That was the only thing.
She didn't mind the pounding.
We wasn't married. My mother was a Christian. And to her, according to the Bible, any man or any woman that engaged in sexual activity that is unmarried is a whore, and it's a sin.
So your mother thought Loretta was a whore?
It was a sin. She thought I was too. I said, any man. See, we always use that term just on women.
Men can be whores.
Any person that engaged in sex. There's a story in the Bible where they were going to stone this woman.
Yeah.
Because she was having sex and she was unmarried. So Jesus said, who is without sin cast the first stone. Nobody stoned her. He turned to the woman, the unmarried woman that was having sex, and he said, go and sin no more. Anyone that involved in sexual activity, according, not to me, according to the Bible, a true Christian know that. If you engage in sexual activity, unmarried, you are committing a sin. That's sinful. To my mother, I was sinning. I was living in sin. It had nothing to do with age, because there are a lot of people, most men marry a woman 20 years younger than them anyway, most men. It was just weird for a younger man to have an older woman. You know, if a 40-year-old man married a 20-year-old woman, nobody said nothing. A 40-year-old, 20-year-old woman, nobody said nothing. A 20-year-old man with a 40-year-old woman, here come the talk. Is that double standard? It's okay for us men to do it, but it's not okay for women to do it. That's why when they call them women arena rat, I said the most disease, nasty, despicable people ever walked the face of the earth were pro wrestlers. I mean, he's sticking in a woman 7 days a week. His penis been in 7 different women in 1 week. Sometimes 8 or 9.
It sounds like Howard in the other room.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. You don't do all the crabs and gonorrhea and claps that I knew guys had, and then they would take a woman to bed and got gonorrhea. You know how many diseases wrestlers that gave other women? Because they would go from one bed to the next bed. And this poor woman, she's thinking that he loves her. And as soon as he get through banging her, he's in another town banging another woman.
But I have to ask, Tony.
Most wrestlers in their career have been with over 500 different women. There's no woman on the planet, no arena rat, as y'all call it, that been with 500 men.
How many women have you been with?
About 800 or 900, easily.
800 or 900,
easily,
really?
Easily.
Really?
Easily.
Wow.
It was so easy.
Well, let me ask you this, Tony. We'll get to that point. At 16 years old, how did you wind up pounding this 38-year-old woman? How did you know her? But I mean, how did you know her?
She saw me walking down the street one day with my shirt off, and I was, in real good shape there. And she thought I was older.
She didn't realize you were 16.
Until after we did it. And I'll tell you something, you're gonna laugh.
Let's hear it.
When I was 15, the first time I met her, she tried to get me to go to bed with her. So she had, women didn't wear pants back in them days. Most women wore a dress. And in the summertime, they didn't wear no underclothes.
No panties.
No panties. In the country. I don't know how it was in the city, because you're a city boy. When the country, women didn't wear no panties, or Brazil, they didn't put on a dress.
No bra either.
No bra either, yeah.
Just the dress.
The only time they had panties and a bra when they went to church. Oh. Most time they wore sneakers or flat shoes and a dress. You look at all the old pictures, you see them in a dress, right? With flat shoes.
Yeah.
Okay? And then on Sunday, they put on their nice dress, they put on their bra, they put on their girdle if they're fat, they put on their panties, they put on their stockings, they put on their high heel, they put their hat on to go to church. But that was one day a week. The rest of the time, they just had that dress that ran around it. Well, anyway, she laid back on the couch. She said, I want to show you something.
Oh, wait a minute.
I said, oh, really?
Wait a minute.
So she got a plane with me, and it came up. She said,
what came up?
My penis.
Oh, all right.
What do you think my came up? My
Oh,
hair?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. And anyway, she laid back on that couch and threw them legs up in the air, and I saw that thing open up like a giant clam. I took off running.
You ran from it.
Oh, scared as shit. I've never seen nothing like it. So I ran, and I was running, and I was sitting in front of my house, and I'm shaking like a leaf. My brother Norris, my oldest brother, said, what happened? He said, you look like you saw a ghost. I said, worse than that. I said, somebody cut Lorella, and I had to get out there before they blamed me for it. He said, cut her where? I said, right between the legs. I got a great big cut right between the legs there. And I said, pus is coming out of it. I said, it's an old cut because pus is coming out.
Pus is coming out of it?
Pus is coming out of it.
What do you mean,
I
pus?
never saw one. I never saw one.
But what do you mean, pus?
You know what I'm talking about, Dad. Let me tell the story. The fans know. The fans
They
know.
know
They
the
know
pus.
what I'm talking about.
Loretta's
I'm
pus.
trying to tell the story, so I tell my brother, pus is coming out of it. The root is so old that pus is coming out of it. I said, it's infected. She need to go see the doctor. He said, Tony, that's a pussy. I said, is that what it looked like? He said, did you fuck her? I go, no. He said, well, you got to go back because word going to get around that you ran and everybody going to think you gay. So you're going to have to go back. So I said, okay, I go back. So I went back to the house where she lived. And she said, are you going to run this time? I said, no, I'm ready for it. So I get on top of her like this, Dad. with my eyes closed. Then I go in there. Oh. And then she couldn't get me off of her. I fell asleep on top of her.
You fell asleep on Loretta?
I didn't want to take it out.
Where were her children when this was happening?
She did that in front of the kids all the time.
She would take...
Her daughter, she had a daughter, she got pregnant at 12.
Yeah. So Loretta was a frisky thing.
Well, yeah.
I still don't understand the pus.
Come.
From what?
Somebody that fucked her before I did.
So before you went and pounded Loretta, someone else was in Loretta's home doing the same thing.
Who cum was that coming out of her?
Oh, my dear Lord.
Somebody dropped a load up in there. It wasn't me.
And did you have protection, Tony?
Nobody thought about that then.
No. There were no condoms back then.
Nobody thought about that stuff then.
Dear Lord.
The condoms did not really, people did not really started having safe sex until AIDS came along.
Magic Johnson time.
AIDS came. Once that AIDS hit, that slowed down everything. Because with everything you caught, they had a cure for it. You caught claps, they had a cure for it. You caught sniffing, gonorrhea, they had a cure for it. AIDS came along, and there was no cure. There's still no cure for it. And AIDS killed. That backed everybody up. Nobody even thought about it. I used to watch Sonny Fargo, the one that the Fargo brother used to do the Crazy Man act. Jackie Fargo.
Jackie Fargo.
Jackie, not Sonny. Jackie with the referee. Jackie. I hope this don't offend your audience. He would take a bloody Kotek out of a woman.
What?
Kotek.
A what?
Damn, you've never been around a woman a day in your life.
What the hell is a Kotek?
What they put up in their vagina when they're on the period. You
mean a tampon?
Tampon. What we call it Kotek in the hood.
Well, I never heard Kotek.
Y'all call it tampon. We call it Kotek.
Yeah.
Why, I don't know. That's what they used to call it. Maybe that was the name of the product, the panda. But they would put it in their vagina when they're on their period. Sonny Fargo would pull it out with his teeth, wring it out in his beer and drink it. Not Sonny, but Jackie.
He would take a used tampon, or a Kotek as you call it, rinse the blood out of the Kotek into a beer and drink it. Now what was it?
And the Moondog, I think he passed away, Rex, not Rex.
Randy Cully?
Randy Collins.
Yeah.
He would go down on a girl while she was on her period.
He enjoyed it.
While she was on her period.
I wonder what he enjoyed out of that.
Brother, I never asked.
You never did it.
She's on a period.
You would stay away from it during those 3 days.
Yeah. She's bleeding all over the place. Then this guy's licking on her. That's why I say these wrestlers had no reason to call these women rats. They were slam balls. I mean, with some of the stuff that I witnessed with my own eyes, I've seen this stuff with my own eyes. That's why I'm so open about my foot fetish. One guy told me, said, Tony, you about the most normal person of us all. He said, you just want to get walked on. Some of the things these other guys would do was freaking ridiculous. Michael Hayes, he liked golden shower. He liked to be urinated on.
By other men or women?
I don't think, well, what's it used to pee on it? I guess he liked. They used to pee on each other. Him and his partner there.
Oh, the Gordy.
Yeah, Gordy.
Buddy
They would pee on each other.
I thought that was more of a rib than a fetish.
No, they loved it.
They liked being
Yeah, I told him
on.
one night, I drove him, I said, God, if y'all pee on me, I said, I'm going to fight you. I said, I'm not into that. Well, you let women put their dirty shoes on you. I said, brother, if you pee on me, I'm going to fight you. I told them that one night. They wanted to pee on me. No,
I don't understand that one.
I don't, brother. I don't. They used to buy beer and have the girl to drink, and every time the girl had to pee, they lay in the tub and had the girl to pee all over them. Man, I went in the room and they were laying in the tub, and a woman standing over and peeing all over them. And
on which one?
Yeah, and then the other guy.
On which one?
And all of them did it. There were three.
All
of them.
three of them were laying in the bathtub,
No,
being urinated on.
I did. Now you got to use a little common sense.
Well, which one was being urinated
I said
on?
all of them. Not at once. You know it ain't at once.
The woman was holding her urine?
Yeah, one would go back to what is that blinking like? Yeah,
Percy sent in a signal. He loved Terry
Gordy.
Gordy.
You try to explain things to you sometimes that like trying to explain to a 3-year-old.
Well, I'm just trying to break it down for the fans so they
understand what I'm saying when I say all of them did it. They all did it. I mean, how much more explain they did? They didn't do it all at once to turn on the old one person. That's just common sense.
The way I had heard it over the years was that the Freebirds like to urinate on a guy's leg in the shower as a rib. I didn't know they enjoyed
It's a rib in the nannies.
I didn't realize that this was a thing that they get pleasure from.
Brother.
What?
Why would you do that every night just for a rib if you didn't like it? That's just like me giving you a blowjob and say it's a rib. Come on now, Dad, why you so... Dad, sometimes you amazes me.
How do I amaze you, Tony?
Because sometimes you just act like you just don't know nothing.
Fans, I'm going to ask you at home. How familiar are you with the art of the golden shower?
What was the other guy? What was the other guy named that was with the Freebird? Not the big one.
Buddy Roberts.
Buddy.
What? He used to use his snots as hair gel.
And he called you, headlock me. I said, screw you.
Oh.
Screw you.
So they were kind of gross.
Ronnie Garvin with crap in his hands and come up, hey kid, how you doing? Brother, they was filthy.
Rugged Ronnie Garvin with the blonde hair and the crew cut?
The first time I met him, he crapped in his hand and came and wanted to shake hands with me. They used to crap in guys' bags and in guys' shoes and stuff for a rib. Man, they was filthy.
What about, I know Klondike Bill comes up on the show a lot. He's a man that you have great reverence for because he got you a hotel when you were on the road and didn't realize you needed one. But a story that has become very popular online thanks to Tony Schiavone's podcast is Klondike apparently was a very horny man. Is that a way?
They all was.
Well, apparently, in a discussion about sex, Tony thought he'd be friendly and get a Playboy-type magazine for Bill to look at. When they arrived with the ring at a hotel in the parking lot, they found a pair of women's panties laying on the parking lot ground, and Klondike Bill got out of the truck, picked up these strangers' panties, put them in his mouth, and started to munch on these parking lot panties, and said, I wish these women in the magazine were attached to the panties. Is this something that was...
I've seen him do that before.
Explain what you saw.
Well, see, when I first started in wrestling, if you was not strange or weird, you was in the wrong business.
Yeah.
All these guys had these strange fetishes. They all did. That's why I felt right there with my shoe fetish. Because I was the most harmless of them all.
Would Loretta walk on you?
Yep.
Yeah.
But I was the most harmless of them all. Most of these guys, they was all into oral sex, a lot into oral sex. I used to see guys getting the head jobs in the shower, guys getting the head job, the Sheik.
Now you're talking about Eddie Farha or Vaziri? Cosrow, all right.
The funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Now you got to picture this. He's on the toilet, okay? The girl is giving him a head job. He would go, poof, let one out. Oh, keep going, baby. Oh, excellent, excellent, very good, very good. You could smell the doo-doo.
So the Iron Sheik received fellatio while he was moving his bowels.
At the same time.
In some random hotel.
No, in the dressing room.
Oh, in a locker room.
Locker room. No. Sex went on in the locker room.
So was this with a rat?
Sex went on in the dressing room.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to ask was it with a female rat or was it with a peer?
I'm not going to call that woman a rat. I don't like.
Well, was it an arena woman? It was a female. All right, all right.
Yeah, it was a female. But what it is.
Well, I remember one time.
But that was, brother. That was every night. Every night.
In the 80s.
Somebody got in the 70s. I remember Paul Jones and Wahoo was writing and said, if you can't get laid in this territory, you just can't get laid. In Georgia, Puster Perry Watley was alive. He could tell this story. I was driving one time and Perez came in to wrestle at the Atlantic City Auditorium.
Yeah.
Before we started going to the Omni. And I had a 77 Lincoln Town car.
Uh-huh.
And Perry said, Tony, you know where's a good hotel at around here that I can stay for the night? I said, brother, I got no hotel. You stay at my house. I got a property. Come and stay at my place. Save your money. Oh, thank you, Tony. So we get in the car, and I said, you feel like a little action tonight? And Perry said, yeah. So I rolled down my window. I go, you in the back. And they jumped in the back of my car.
3 women on the street? No, with these.
No, at the arena.
Oh, at the arena.
At the Atlanta City Auditorium.
Now, with these female wrestling fans?
Yeah. And I just go, you in the back, and they just jumped in my car. We took them to the hotel. We stayed at the Passport Inn at that time. We took them to the hotel. I did them. And then, because I didn't want to take them to the house at that time because I had a girlfriend there. So we took them to this Passport Inn. Me and Paz, we did them. I took them back to the Starland Arena where they could get their cars and go home. Just like that.
Every night?
It was just, yeah. They was,
Well,
you
were a young man in your early 20s?
Not just young.
I know, thank you, Jackie, but we discussed women's panties and pocket
Well, I
knives.
could tell this story now.
All right.
One day, they had this one girl in the room, one girl. You have Steve Kern, Tagger Conway Jr., Birdhead Jones, Rufus R. Jones, myself, and Mr. Wrestling number 2.
Johnny Walker.
Doing this one girl.
At the arena.
And then 2 came in with his mask on.
He didn't want to be seen.
Didn't want to be seen. So the guys thought it was great that 2 is joining us. So everybody said, let 2 go first. Let 2 go first. So 2 went.
Why did 2 go first?
We never saw 2. We never seen them doing it.
Oh, it was new for 2.
No, it was new to us.
You had never seen 2.
Right. It was already the rule for the younger guy.
Yeah.
We never seen one of the old timers get down.
One of the
and
vets.
The boys, while you having sex with this girl, all the wrestlers standing there watching you.
And the female didn't mind that she was having, it was a 6-on-1.
I don't know if they meant it or not.
But they did it.
Yeah, because I remember, I'm not going to call his name, there was one guy that wanted me to do this girl because it was in Columbus, Ohio, and this girl used to come every time I'm there to walk on me. And I take her to dinner, but, and she didn't have to have sex with me. That's why she liked coming to the show. She didn't have to put herself out. And she got a crush on this wrestler. And me and him shared a room that night, and he just got through having sex with her, and he asked her to have sex with me. She said, I can't do that. And the guy said, why not? He said, because he's black. My family would turn against me if I go to bed with a black man. This is the 70s. But he said, get out of my room. She go to put her clothes on. He threw her out the door naked and threw her clothes at her and slammed the door.
Was it Vazeri?
I'm not going to call no name because the guy, he's still living and But
well, after the story you just told about him in the bathroom.
But you can understand the story. I could tell stories about how wrestlers treat women like crap. Every day of the week. They bring these women
Well, let me ask you this.
And I've seen them do things to women. There was one wrestler, his son became a wrestler. He almost killed a woman one time. There was in right around Raleigh, North Carolina. It was a little town we used to go through in Raleigh. Patero know this story. Ken Patero know this story.
Patera Rastani or Ken Patera?
He was not involved, but he know the story. I remember me and Patero.
I'm trying to clarify. Patera Rastani or Ken Patera?
Ken Patero.
Ken Patera,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Because me and him was talking about it in the gym the next day. I wasn't there, but Patero knew what happened. They had this girl, and they give what in the old days they call it a Mickey.
Yep.
They put her in a drink and knock her out.
Mm-hmm.
All the boys took their turn on her.
They raped her.
Pretty much. Then after they took their turn on her, if you ever talk to Patero, he know this story. He know who I'm talking about too. It was in the early 70s. They put feces and urine all over her. In the older days, they had these rugs, these big round rugs in the room. They roll her up in the rug. They put a do not disturb sign on the door, and they turn the heat up. and they left her. Come to find out, the girl father was the chief of police.
Uh-oh.
That wrestler was not able to come back. The girl almost died. They had no respect at all for women. That's why when I hear the
Now,
term
what territory
arena
was this?
Huh?
What territory? Mid-Atlantic?
Mid-Atlantic. Because we were going to do Raleigh TV. We used to go through this town all the time to do Raleigh TV. Most of the guys were still in Raleigh. But this town was between Raleigh and Charlotte, North Carolina. And the girl got a hotel room there because she wanted to be with this wrestler. But what she didn't know that once she went to bed with him, because if you had a girl in your room and you didn't share her with the other wrestlers, they would call you a fence builder.
Really?
A fence builder.
Fence builder.
Yeah. So a lot of times the girl would do things because she got a crush on you, so she would do what you want, trying to please you. She would go with me to please you. These were young, very infatuated women. You see how the women act with every person.
Who was the one that was in charge of wrapping the girl in the rug and spreading the feces on?
I ain't calling his name.
You're not going to call the name
because his son is a good friend of mine.
Oh, all right. All right. Well,
his son is a good friend of mine.
That's an unbelievable story.
And
the woman almost died. Why did she almost die? From the Mickey or from the feces?
No, because she couldn't breathe. She went into a coma.
Because she was wrapped in a rug? Why did they wrap her in a rug?
Oxygen. The oxygen, it was a lack of oxygen. And only to save her life, the smell was so bad that when the maid went in at 11 o'clock to check the room. And she saw the girl, and the maid took a call to ambulance and got her to the hospital. And they told the maid if that girl had laid there for another hour, she would have died.
Wow. So it really was a serious thing.
Very, very. And I've seen a lot of guys that
Were you there for that, or was that secondhand?
No, Patero told me the story. Patero was there. Kim Patero was there.
How many guys used the woman after the Mickey?
Patero can tell you a lot more than I can.
All right.
You know, Kim Patero. But I saw a lot of women get misused, and then the guys, to make themselves look good, they call them rats. And half of the girls that went to bed with them were stoned out of the head, young, impressionate teenagers. We talk about 15 and 16-year-olds that they label rats. We ain't talking about women
15 and 16, huh?
Ain't no 25-year-old going to let you do that to them. Ain't no 30-year-old going to let you do that to them. So how do you think them girls was they were doing that to? See, we forget that part. Back in them days, women were not protected like they are now.
Yes, they should be.
But back then, most of these was teenage women, teenagers that they were doing this to. Them the ones that went to bed with the wrestler were the teenagers. It was not the grown women. And y'all call these teenage girls that is now grown, got kids of their own, and every time we call one of them a rat, she think about how she was abused by the wrestlers.
Violated.
Violated by wrestlers. And then we got the nerve on top of it to turn right around and call them arena rats. These was infatuated girls. And you know, you got to realize about a wrestler back in them days. They had maybe, 4 TV stations, and we was on one of them.
One of them, yeah.
So to these women, it was like meeting Donald Trump or meeting Elvis Presley or meeting The Rock. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they was like, you know, I can't believe that this guy is showing interest in me. You know, any superstar right now, you go up to a 17-year-old, and the 17-year-old gonna go nuts. You go up to a 27-year-old or 37-year-old, she's gonna say, screw you, buddy. You could never do that to a 30-year-old woman. In fact, if a woman was 30, they didn't want her. They always got the very young.
They wanted the rats to be young. Really?
The girls to be young. Not
so they would, if a 30-year-old woman approached, that was too old. Really?
Yeah, because they smart. They're not going.
They weren't going to allow that.
They're not going to allow you to do that to them. So you have to get the young impressionist ones to do that. Most of the older women, we met them, we ended up marrying them. Because they were not going to do that.
Let me tell you, this show.
I mean, I tried that, you know, with my baby mama. She slapped the shit out of me.
You tried what?
To have her to go to bed with one of the wrestlers.
You wanted one of the other wrestlers to
I
do
wasn't
your...
sure because the guy was calling me a fence builder. The
Even
other
though
guy-
it was your
because I
baby's
just
mother?
before we got married, the guy.
Oh, it was before
they
you
saw
got married,
her,
okay.
And some of the guys wanted to take her to bed. They said, Tony, when that girl come back over, she look good. She nice looking. When she come back over, call me. I come over and help you with that.
Who wanted her?
A couple of the guys. And so I told her. I said, look, some of my guys, you know, me and you.
Some of my coworkers want to fuck you.
And I said, we're gonna have an orgy. I said, you ever thought about going to bed with two guys at once? She go, pow.
Where did she slap you?
On the fingernail down.
Right across the kisser?
Yeah, down. No, on the fingernail down.
Right across the kisser?
Right as hard as she fucking could. Got up and put her clothes on, and she said, if you ever asked me to do something like that, but with the difference between her, she was 21.
The woman you were with. So
That's
she was
right.
at least of legal age.
What, no?
No.
She was old enough to know better.
I got you.
Now,
Well-
if I had told that to a 16 or 17-year-old,
Yeah.
that's why they was able to get away with what they did. They was with them 16 and 17-year-olds.
Sounds like a lot of Howard and Jackie's college
But they could get
stories.
away-
I don't
no,
know.
It wasn't just Jackie. They could get away with it in the 60s and 70s. There
Why?
Was no
Why
law.
could- there was
You
no
know,
laws
well,
against
no,
that?
No, there was what called a legal age. In most states, 15 is legal. Back in the 70s,
All right,
we talk about the 70s. How many years back I'm going?
You're talking almost 50.
That's what I'm saying. So if she was 15 in most states, like I think in Tennessee, 14 was legal.
That's right. Jerry
Because-
Lawler was in heaven.
Elvis Presley was too.
Yeah.
We forget that number.
Yeah.
I mean, his wife was 14.
Wrestling fans, this episode certainly was not what I had planned on.
It's not the women. Us men always want to downrate women.
Yeah.
The real dogs is not the women, they're the men's. More so, but the wrestlers, to make themselves look good, they call the women's names after they made love to them, make them do this, make them do that. And what poor, underprivileged woman working for $1.60 an hour meet a wrestler that make $100,000 a year?
We're running low on time, Tony, just so you know.
Driving a brand new car. And this poor girl is catching the bus to see this wrestler, and she's 16, 17 years old, and here you got this 40, 50-year-old man manipulating her into sex. And then when he get through with her, guess what he called her?
A rat.
Thank you. That's why I don't like that term.
All right, wrestling fans, if the crew in the back can hear me, we've got to
Half
wrap.
of them should be in jail
Half
for
of them
child
should be, yeah.
molestation.
All right, well, that
Bunch of freaking pedophiles, what they
we'll
were.
save that for the next episode, I guess.
Damn pedophiles.
This was I thought, going to be kind of an introduction into Tony Atlas's wrestling career in Mid-Atlantic, and it turned into some of the wildest sex stories. We heard
That was
about
part of it. So
we
you
heard
did
about
hear it.
orgies. We heard about women wrapped in rugs with feces and urine spread on them. We heard about men picking up random panties found in parking lots and munching on them as if it was a piece of chewing gum.
Yeah.
I don't know how to follow up on this one, fans. We're running out of time.
I finish up by saying
All
that,
right, one more.
and this came from a wrestler.
All right, let's hear it.
This wrestler told me one day, if the fans really knew how disgusted some of the people were that they paid their money to see, they would never pay to see another wrestling match.
And that may be some of the truest words ever spoken.
I mean, they were just freaking disgusted, degenerate human beings. A lot of them. Not all of them. Not all of them. Like, I got a couple of friends that never cheated on their wife, never did none of that stuff, you know. It was just good, clean, living guys. You know, like Tito Santana. I don't mind saying that. Tito would drive. We did a show one time up in Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
The next day, we're going to be in Boston. That's 80 miles away.
Yeah.
Tito would drive from Portland, Maine, all the way back to New Jersey, and then back up to Boston.
Well, I was told by one of the guys in the studio that Tito was he was addicted to pounding her.
To
He
what?
couldn't resist.
I didn't know that. I've tried with Tito a lot. I never seen him. I never seen him do anything. He
No,
always ran home
not
to his wife.
with a ring rat or anything. He was just, I don't know if it was before he was married, but he was literally addicted to this woman, and he would, anytime he could literally get there back and forth, he would spend the extra hours to have the
one woman.
the pounding time. Yeah.
The one woman.
Yeah.
It's probably the one he married.
It is. No, it was the one he married.
Yeah,
He was
he fell
addicted.
in love.
He
He
was
fell in love.
addicted to it.
He fell in love. That's
Well,
not
good for
addicted.
Tito.
He fell in love. Like when I've been married to Monica for 30 years. I never cheated on her.
You're a good man.
No, I was in love.
You were in love.
I fell in love.
All right, wrestling fans, if you are in love with this tremendous program, please give us a thumbs up. I can't imagine there are too many other shows in the universe that would discuss some of the things we discussed tonight as we continue to break down Tony's early days and his early 20s in the world of professional wrestling and some of his co-workers, some of the deviants, some of the lawbreakers that he associated himself with in these various orgies and sexual encounters. If you enjoyed tonight's show,
It's in my book.
we ask you please give us a thumbs up
Yeah.
and subscribe to the channel. If you've been chatting away in the premiere, the super chat is open. Please don't forget to tip the bartender. If you have any random thoughts about tonight's show and you're not watching the premiere, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget we are back with brand new episodes of Wrestling Insiders every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. with Tony Atlas. Every Wednesday night it's Wrestling Insiders Special Edition with Rotating Legends. Thursday nights, it's Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty, with Tony Atlas's longtime close personal friend Marty Jannetty. And then we round out the week Friday night at 10 after SmackDown with John Cena Sr.'s Thunderdome with that super duper super glue talking about the king of sports professional wrestling. If you want early ad-free access to all of the great stuff we do here on these shows, if you don't like the ads, the commercials, if you wanted full screen, if you want access to our DVD library that's been seen on The Howard Stern Show and on YouTube by millions upon millions, if you want to help keep Wrestling Legends working, all for less than a cup of coffee down the street at overpriced Starbucks, hit us up at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. For my partner in crime, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marati. If the studio doesn't close us down after this episode, we will see you
You kept pushing for
next
details.
Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Stay out of the rugs. Until we speak again, folks, you and yours stay healthy. Be well. Good night.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee, Thursday, March the 9th, 1989. In the opening contest, Paul Roma beat Barry Horowitz. Rick Martel battled King Haku to a time-limit draw. Brutus the Barber Beefcake defeated Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase. Hercules with the win over Dino Bravo via disqualification. The Brainbusters beat the Rockers. Bret Hitman Hart battled the Honky Tonk Man to a double countout. Coco Beware victorious over the Gladiator. And in the main event, Hulk Hogan defeated the Big Boss Man. If you were in Memphis Live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive Superstar Shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join Rotating Legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view, watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed Studio Shoot interview DVD library, and help keep Wrestling Legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.